Hey there, future scientists. Are you ready to go on an amazing adventure back in time? We're about to solve the great fossil mystery.
Okay, let's start with a super weird question. Have you ever wondered, how does a fish get stuck inside a rock? I mean, seriously, did it just swim in there? That seems impossible, right? You know, a long time ago, before anyone knew about dinosaurs, people would find these giant bones buried in the ground. And you know what they thought? They thought they were the bones of giant, fire-breathing dragons. Can you believe that? So cool. But we know better now, don't we? Those aren't from dragons. They're actually clues to a whole lost world. So let's go from thinking about dragons to discovering dinosaurs. All right, so we keep talking about these things, but what even is a fossil? What are we actually looking at when we find one? Okay, here's the deal. A fossil is basically a super old memory saved in a rock. It could be the leftover bits of a plant or an animal that lived ages ago. Think of it like a picture from the past, but instead of being on paper, it's trapped in stone. And here's something really cool. Fossils aren't just one thing. On one side, you've got what we call body fossils, like those super sharp teeth. That's an actual part of an animal that turned into rock. But then on the other side, you see that giant footprint? That's a trace fossil. The animal wasn't saved, but the mark it left behind was. Both are totally fossils. So, this probably has you wondering, how does something like a shell or a bone even become a fossil in the first place? Well, it's not easy, I'll tell you that. It takes a very special recipe and a lot of time. It's kind of like a super slow cooking recipe that takes millions of years. Okay, step 1. An animal, like this little ammonite, dies and sinks down to the bottom of the ocean. Step 2, it gets covered up by layers and layers of mud and sand, kind of like being tucked into a blanket. Step 3, all the soft, squishy parts rot away. Yuck. So only the hard shell is left. And then the final step, step 4, over millions and millions of years, tiny little minerals in the water sneak into the shell and slowly turn it into stone. And poof, you've got a fossil. But wait a minute. Turning into stone isn't the only way to become a fossil. Nope, nature has a few other really cool tricks up its sleeve. Check this out. Sometimes a little bug or a spider might get stuck in sticky, gooey tree sap. Ew! But then that sap hardens over millions of years and turns into this beautiful stuff called amber. And the little critter is perfectly preserved inside, like it's in its very own time capsule. And then there's this. Sometimes it's not the animal or plant itself that's saved, but just its shape. You see, a plant, like this fern, might fall into some mud. Then it gets buried and squished flat. All the plant parts rot away, but they leave a perfect picture, an imprint of themselves in the rock. All right, team, it's time to put on our detective hats. Because fossils aren't just cool to look at, they're clues. And we're about to solve some amazing mysteries with them. Okay, detective, here's your first clue. Scientists have found fossils of seashells on the very top of super tall mountains. But wait a second, seashells belong in the ocean, right? So how in the world did one get all the way up on top of a mountain? What do you think that means? Put your detective brain to work. I'll give you a second to think about it. Did you guess it? It means that whole mountain used to be at the bottom of the ocean. Isn't that wild? Over millions of years, the Earth pushed and squeezed and lifted that old seafloor way up into the sky until it became a mountain. That's how the seashell got up there. Mind blown. You ready for another case? Okay, check this out. We all know Antarctica, right? It's a land of ice and snow and penguins. Super cold. But scientists have found fossils of plants there. Green leafy plants. So, what could that possibly mean?
This is so cool. It means that millions of years ago, Antarctica wasn't cold and icy at all. It was actually warm and covered in big green forests. See? Fossils are like a time machine that let us see what the Earth was like a super long time ago. They show us how much our planet can change. Wow, you guys are amazing fossil detectives. We just solved some huge mysteries about our planet. So let's go over what we figured out today. First, we know that fossils are the remains of ancient life. We learned that they can form when they get buried and turn to stone, or when they get trapped in amber, or even just leave an imprint behind. And most importantly, we learned that fossils are clues that tell us incredible stories about Earth's history. Okay, so now you're the detective.
I have one last question for you. If you could find the fossil of any ancient creature, what would you want to find? A giant T-Rex, a fuzzy woolly mammoth, or maybe something new that no one has ever discovered before? Whatever it is, keep looking, keep being curious, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to solve the next great fossil mystery.